Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. Yes, that is you. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on understanding the resolve, emerging, liberating, getting free from the shame that binds you, feeling stuck, held down, non-existent, not able to meet the status quo, not able to feel that you fit in or don't belong. These are results or conditions or conclusions narcissists' lack of empathy, lack of love brings to those who then consider themselves a recipient of a bad love affair, a bad marriage, a bad upbringing. The summation becomes this so gestalt, full picture, engulfing when there is a shame that's incorporated as part of crazy making, love making, family making, bed making, whatever it is making. Perhaps there's a lot of this floating around in the environment that all of a sudden comes whipping around the corner, ready to grab you, and then out of nowhere, you find that things are disruptive, chaotic, you're getting into it again, whatever it is, and you're feeling stuck, you're just completing a cycle. You're not sort of feeling that you've got a linear sort of moving through or experiencing life in the way the flow, the experience, the give and take that you want to. It's becoming unsettling. That's really what shaming and projection will do in sort of crazy making and this sort of behavior in a narcissist relationship. What is crazy making? It's keeping a constant state of chaos in your environment, in your feel state, and in what a controlling person is trying to basically negate within you. And so in order for them to do that, though, they keep a lot of chaos going. They can be very, very stubborn, but then very aloof, meaning there isn't this sort of equanimity or I can count on you experience. They sort of will go poof and go missing, and it leaves you standing there going, what happened? And then they're calling you names, Dodo, why aren't you getting with it? And you've inherited these beings, and it's just causing you to do a bad, low-grade emotional shuffle, low-grade depression, chronic sadness, feeling like you're chronically hung over, meaning that you're still trying to recover. And from this sort of chaos, like what just happened, and then you have all these other diagnoses that come, hyperactivity, attention deficit disorder. Now when this really gets reinforced and there's no intervention to break down the chaos and stop the chaos, then medical professionals are brought in. People are then medicated, given tests, lots of testing, questions, invasiveness. When did this start? And again, you're then kind of labeled, and then the more that you're in the health system, really, the more entrenched you really get, until you really get your hands on some sort of practical tools that we get out here on the table, where we can lay it all out and say, what the heck is all this crazy making doing, and how has this been incorporated as part of my emotional diet, and where is this throwing me off? And instead I'm giving myself bad demands, you're bad, why are you calling up that B state? That can become reinforced. When you're in a narcissist relationship, there's a lot of crazy making going on. Surprises. Hey, I didn't know you were going to bring this person. Oh, I didn't know we were doing this. Just sort of like, why didn't you key me in? Feeling that you're not clued into specific things, as if you can't handle some information, just sort of sloughing you off. These are This is crazy making behavior, as if they will try to determine the outcome of your experience, which is the problem. The narcissist tries to control the outcome of others' experience, like which should be met on their own discovery, their own findings, and then giving themselves their own credit, their own experience of adequacy, their own feeling of ingenuity and ambidextrousness, and that sort of that feeling that, when children are 3 and 4 and 5, that they can navigate their world successfully. They've got this inner drive, and they've got it's not only a drive, but it's an ability that they have, that they can navigate their world successfully. A 3-year-old, my blacks are here, my this is here. They have a feeling of ability to, but it's more of a generative. In other words, it keeps going, where they feel that they won't be thrown off track. In other words, that their own inner ingenuity, their own inner decisiveness is helping them to grow, and then they navigate successfully through these stages. Now, the narcissist wants to keep their girlfriends, their boyfriends, their children, their students, even if you have a teacher like this, sort of in a pocket hole. Like, we've already shot the ball, you're out and gone. You might get another go around, but you don't, you're absentee right now. You're like missing in action. I'm right here. It's a crazy making. Like, crazy making is when in my mind, is when a narcissist tries to control the outcome of another's experience to the faults, where they won't allow another to get there ambidextrously. Autonomously is sort of the feeling. There's a autonomy that is developed. They don't allow this autonomy, this feeling of self-industry that is then experienced within that toddler. Oh, look, I can stack it up here and it's bigger. I do this and I can make a cool cove, and I can put this and make that, the self-industriousness. They've got a feeling of of competence, that they can handle and navigate their environment successfully. So that whole level there, which is really to be met at like 3 and 4, the crazy making starts there and stays there with a narcissist's love affair, marriage, family, even as they grow older. 88-year-olds who are on their 7th marriage, woman 30 years older, kids by 4 different mothers. I mean, it goes on. It's crazy making behavior. It doesn't have to go to that. Crazy making behavior, meaning there's constant unpredictability. Are we in? Are we out? Am I okay? Are you okay? I mean, these big gestalt questions are thrown around people's B state, and they shouldn't, those should be visited like in a museum. Like, look at that knight in shining armor, where they had to dress up like that and like go out into battle every day. It's like crazy making is feeling like you're in a constant battle for survival and anxiety for your existence. Not even, and beyond just your physicality, because your physicality could be quote unquote taken care of, clothing, shelter, but then comes the societal, and then the individual, the intrapersonal relationship, meaning how you reference with, hey, that person is a bully, I've got it, and then you're moved on. That's intrapersonal communication. That is kind of shut down. Radio station is gone out. Signal is in a storm. I mean, it is blown over. There ain't no single you're down in the barracks. You're down in the ditches. And it feels, crazy making is kind of feeling like you're always staying there, that there's always some sort of emotional grenades going on, no matter how long the path. Oh, I didn't think that minefield would go on this long. Still going. Minefield is still there. They still blow up. They still project. And it's just like you're wondering why this hasn't changed. And you have to look to yourself to answer that question. Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, okay? Um, you know, so you have to go, wow, that's a big statement. It's not just like man in the mirror. It's like the man in the mirror. Like, it's like, is what it is. We're talking about ground zero is. We're talking about is. Okay? We're not talking about any other descriptor other than that. So it's really, to get to the clear of the crazy making, you have to really clear out any of the other descriptors, labels that have been hung. It's like, that hook don't hang here no more. They're trying to hook on, you're a loser, you're, you know, the crazy making, you're not ready, I told you this, you know, causing and inciting into conflict, causing trouble where there is none. Just, you could be sailing along, you know, through the silver seas, and all of a sudden they're going to throw a lightning bolt. Why don't you? Didn't you? And you're like, why? Where's the storm? I didn't even see this coming. And then it's blue sun again. And you're like, did I just forget that storm? Should I forget that storm? That storm almost took out the back of my canoe. Maybe you want to check out that storm. So it is that storminess. Some people then get addicted, enjoy the stormy relationships. They're fighting again, they're squabbling again, and it becomes, you know, I mean, you can see people at the restaurant, like the Seinfeld episode. I mean, they're still, you know, arguing. The George Costanza's parents. I mean, always at the, and you know, there's a certain rigidity and inflexibility that will take. But if your foundation is firm, and your being is flexible, like in our yoga card, the tree here, then you're much better able to see and sort of be like, you know what, I'm stepping out of the storm path here. I'm, you know, shit's hitting and I'm going not there. And that's okay. If they want to say it's on me, I mean, the wind is actually blowing it over there. You can't like spit in the wind. It's kind of like what it is, you know, and say you just spit on me. It's a similar situation, and you can make light of it and say it's funny, but until you've really been ungrounded for a long period of time, it becomes very unsettling, especially if this is a romantic or a love relationship where there's this constant sort of hectic, frantic energy going on that's a tension and is more, you know, it causes a sort of derelict and down and out and sort of beating around behaviors. And it's time to sort of exit that crazy making booth and being like, this is crazy making, calling it what it is, owning it up to it within first, okay? Because if you can own up to what is crazy making first, you don't have to get engulfed. You don't have to step into the undertow. I'm not sailing on that 7C. Not that stupid, okay? I'm not dumbo, gumbo, or whatever they're trying to assign you, as if you don't have a heart, a mind, a spirit, or something that does not like to be made into more crazy making. So disturbing, saying, you know, this is distraught. Anger in sign language is where you wrench your face. You know, that's anger. That's crazy making. It causes like a difficulty of vision where you can't see, your eye can't see clearly to the horizon, whether you're trying to read a book, figure out a story, or watch a movie. Crazy making is interruptive, disruptive. That's enough. You've had enough. It's time to get anxious now. You should be worried is what is like already built into your calendar. And you're like, is it really? And to what degree is anxiety sort of your check-in booth? Or to what other degree do you have something else that you would like to plan or have within? If you can make a shift, a behavior change, instead of eating out the whole bin or drinking the whole shelf, you know, shutting it after half. You know, how do you change that behavior? You look and you see it and you do a swing like a pro golfer. You go, okay, I'm not drinking that whole case of beer. You recognize that the crazy making is causing the over drinking, and the over drinking isn't helping you see more clearly through the crazy making. It's like doubling down on a no win, or sort of not really in the right wind of what you want to do. Because I really feel what is course correcting is if you can get a little bit more of a clear line before where there was none, meaning like the eye, rather than it being stuck, needs to get out of the screen, out from behind. A device can be a wall. Getting out from behind a device, letting the eye look as if you're looking for the farthest cloud away or the horizon, relaxing and unstraining the eye muscles. Getting a chance to allow then the heart and the breathing to sink into rhythm, where you can then focus. Oh, I like the sun. Oh, this feels good. Oh, this is nice. Oh, this is enjoyable. You begin to hear within, or feel within, and you're going, oh, okay, this is all right. This is a good antidote, or a good next to, instead of being anxious, like programming and directing that in. Because the crazy making is a cause that will create a lot of effect. And it's very important for you to realize that it will cause a barrier to intimacy as well, meaning everything is scrambled. And love isn't, doesn't really get into the heart sunken moment with narcissists. It can be very compulsive. It can be very gratuitous. It can be very superficial. It can be very fantastic. Madonna material. I mean, whatever you want to call it. But that, the more you learn about that, it's more entertaining experience states to be in. I mean, some of these other things that people are getting into, that whole drug or party culture, that, maybe that whole fantastic or what was seduced into you isn't really the hardcore and the juice of you. If you can understand what that means, and how that feels to you. Crazy making is saying, it's like pinging your emotions in and trying to control how you feel without you fulfilling or organically completing the cycle, like being able to close the circle for yourself. And basically what you might feel is owning it. I own my manhood. Like, you don't have to prove it. I own my womanhood. I don't have to prove it. I own this. I don't have to prove it. And this sort of, because pride and all that arrogance and all that ego, that's where the narcissist lives. That's the crazy making, where it's, things aren't just in the real. They're in the advertisement. They're in the headline. They're in what they want the what they are trying to control your perception of them to be. That's a big job, but that's what people do. People who live that way, they're always trying to control and manipulate not only people's perception, and they do that through crazy making, so they're always off center and off balance. Now, being off center and off balance can be a good thing if you're pushing yourself, like, to learn maybe, or, but that is not a good, maybe right in the beginning of, let's say, a job, you're training, you're going in a different study zone. It's different than what you can do on the daily, but having more balance, instead of that advertised life mentality that people get hooked on, addicted to, push themselves, take drugs to get them to live into. People, I mean, people who adore all the, the Steven Tylers, people who have huge fan bases, 7 million on cocaine. I mean, all this, what they're going through recovery now. So the crazy making not only makes crazy for them and puts them in this attention, but oftentimes sends them into a recovery spin as well. So, do you want that life to be all about like recovery? Oh my God, like you did this, you did that. To what degree are you growing out of it and they're not? The narcissist will continue. They will continue that lifestyle, even if it seems inhuman, unsustainable for you, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. It doesn't make you a bad person, weak, ineffective, inefficient, less lovely, less important, less significant, less influential. It doesn't mean any of those things. But the crazy making, by default, that default to me, where you just can't connect the dots. You don't have any continuity in your life. You're feeling that there's, things are crumbling. A lack of continuity, making sense. Things are just, where's the disconnect? And to what degree is that crazy making still a suit for you? And if so, do you still want to pay the price? And to what degree do you believe then that there is something better beyond a crazy-making love affair, the fantasy allure, the temptation, the new video game? Oh, God, I mean, right now, there is no healthy or moral shame going on. If you're getting married and you have someone who loves you for who you are, God love you, God bless you, because with all the TikTok, the women who are wearing nothing, everything exposed, bottom, tops, middles, insides, outsides, yo-yos, tongues, earlobes, bleaching, this, that, whole. I mean, and it's constantly in front. I mean, how many men see how many of this exposed? Is just, I don't even know the effect, but all I can say is that it creates a lot of crazy making. The internet is just like, the internet went viral, as if the internet is a person. Like, oh wow, let's hear what internet did today. Like, as if it's, as if it's like a family member or someone who's showing up to school today. The internet went viral. Well, superb. So what? Just because a mass of people have fallen into predatory behavior doesn't mean that it's significant or something that you have to be part of. You learn discernment. If you step out of the crazy making, the stepping on eggshells, I wonder if they love me. Prove my love, or whatever. Then if you really love me, you'd prove it to me. Oh, don't get stuck in that with kids or your romantic relationship. Trying to prove and compete as if you're going to lose and jockey your position. That's a terrible anxiety. That's like hyperventilation. That's so intrusive. So that a crazy making, it's okay. It doesn't make you less attractive because you're human. The narcissist, they get attracted to sort of inhumane qualities, sort of feeling less, and as if that's to be the better, the desirable, the stronger. Just because you're human of bone and flesh doesn't mean that you're lower than, less attractive, less influential. That's all the sort of spin-off, if you will. That's all the dust, that's all the haze. That's the after hang. That's the hangover of crazy making. And do you want to go through that, pick yourself up, I'm back together again. Pick yourself up. I mean, to how many times do you want to be a Humpty Dumpty? That ain't me. You can say, I don't like Humpty Dumpty. I don't want that to be me or my story. Why am I sitting on and getting put back together again, time and time again? Aren't I actually together? Is there a truth in this? And then revisit more of truth rather than fallacy. And where does you find that? Inside. Is that advertised? No. Are we bringing it up here on Priest and Harmony? Yes. Why? Because it's available, because it's there, because it's free to you, because it's where your solution is. It's where you can get some peace and harmony and some answers and like live out sort of that wish that's on the other side of what you feel is an abyss, or sometimes the unlimited downing or the unlimited, abyss. Scary, needless to say, when you're alone or feeling lonely or disconnected from this. That is the crazy making behavior. When you enter into that, it's allowing that drug to stay active and alive. You're still believing and you're still convincing yourself in denial, even though your gut, your body, your left toe knows better. It's still trying to come up with you and going, oh yeah, nope, you still don't believe. And until you get those flashing lights, or you get the nursing or doctor report, or you get some other ailment that caused you to check in, and disrupt that cycle, and instead of always pinging with out, where does that out always lead you to? So really, if you look at a lot of people, there's a big reset in the pandemic where everybody's lifestyle was come to a halt. Everything was shut down. Things were not open. Everybody's every day was a no day. It was just like within. You are, what's the word? You are hunkering down within, cloistering up within, sheltering within, all that. So it's like it's like a parallel for no contact with a narcissist. Get away from the virus. Allow your body to allow its healing system to balance out. But if you're constantly in the crazy making and you're not checking within and sort of validating some certain truth, that self-denial place would be your corridor. Why are you keep going? To think that you don't have when you have. So I don't have, it's like those people who have like a gazillion shoes. Again, the Paris Hiltons, as if that's to be desirable to have a 3,000. You don't know where your feet are, your shoes. How many times are you looking out? That's crazy making behavior. Okay, just because, someone has their money or can build a museum for their shoes doesn't mean, that's what your life should be after. It's crazy making behavior, meaning it's not sometimes in a logical, linear, or coherent sort of, I'm checking in with myself. So the crazy making will perpetrate denial in those people who stay, and perpetrate self-denial, which is another very disadvantageous drug to be living under. Self-denial, which means I don't need love. I don't need to eat. I don't need to breathe. I don't need to sleep. I don't need to be a human. I don't need to be normal. It's like the pushing away. So if you've, a narcissist does not like to have any chink in their armor, to feel human, to have a hair out of place. The narcissist, they want to lead with a false image. I mean, if it's their breast, it's just that, or their, it's just, you can't be dissuaded by, it's like, get out of the Zoom meeting, Zoom within, like get there quick, like zoom in and check within, because the crazy making will disrupt that in your own organism, within your own bodily function. It'll take you out of yourself. I can't find myself. Well, that crazy making behavior will take you out of yourself, especially, it might work in the beginning in love. It might seem exciting. Oh, all this silliness. Yeah, that's all great until somebody gets hurt, right? And until the crazy making is your job, until the crazy making is the earth, until the crazy making is space, until the crazy making is Mars. And like, you just, it just doesn't get checked within. Um, how do you resolve the crazy making? Check within. Silently say no, thank you to yourself. I am not deluded. I am not impressed. Okay, the narcissist, they always want to impress. The crazy making, just the shock appeal. Crazy making behavior. It is manipulation. And it draws people into conflict, to incite into conflict. We must understand these words and how they live in a body. Incite. Okay, incite, encourage, or stir up violent or unlawful behavior. Have you ever seen a mob scene? Have you ever been to like a packed concert where people couldn't get tickets? You've got concert goers everywhere. They're like, we want a ticket. Scalpers are out there. They're trying to, hey, this is 1,000. No, it's 40. I can't pay that. And then all of a sudden, you've got all these people who can't get in. And then enough people, they're all talking. And they're like, let's storm this fence. And then we're going to get in and we're going to go up front and we're going to go and see this band. And then you have like mob behavior. And then it's inciting into violence. They're stirring others up. It's like one leads the other. They just don't think. There's this this entrainment of, and then people are doing things to urge or persuade to act in a violent or unlawful way. Is that who you want as your inner self or your neighbor or your family member or your lover or your boyfriend or your girlfriend? And unlawful can mean violating really the laws within, violating of yourself. I need to sleep. I need to have a family. I need to not be and living on drugs. I need to be listened to. I need to get up in the morning. I need to have a work job. I need to have a skill, a talent. I need to have sanity. I need to have a stress-free lifestyle. I need to have a uncantankerous lifestyle. I do not want to be incited into conflict or argument. I don't want to live on that combative energy. That is not stimulating where I can live. I do not want my inner real estate set up on the foundation of this unlawfulness, violence. and so that is the crazy making. And people don't recognize that they are drawn in, because sometimes that drawing in is automatic, and it's what they're always used to responding to and rewarding that person with: eye contact, listening, other behavior. And the crazy making is also called passive aggression, where it's showing violence without being forthright. It's showing woundedness without, with being aloof. It's sort of like leaving the bloody cloth, like there's a problem here. Or it's like, here's the horse head. We got a problem. What? They brought the horse head, and then you've got this conflict going on. Okay, conflict. And there's enough that good, healthy people can resolve without this sort of crazy making style of relationship. And it's gaslighting is a similar thing, but crazy making is more, I would say, consistent and superficial, and it's always altering. It's an attempt to alter your experience. So it's like going to a hotel, and rather than just feeling the bed, they're going to describe the bed. They're going to describe how to get in it. They're going to fluff the sheet for you, and they're going to show you how to tuck you in and say that it's better that they did it for you rather than allowing you to experience that beautiful hotel room. Or it's like ordering a meal and you're going, oh my God, I want to get like this and this great meal, this great lobster, or this great whatever dish you get, chicken parmesan or something. And it comes and they're like, they just want to take the first bite of it and like maybe even take your plate. Or you get a new jacket and they just want to kind of take it and put it on first and say, would it, so they don't allow certain ownership. I think that the crazy making and the gaslighting, it interweaves. There's a cause that creates an effect. So it doesn't allow a certain cohesiveness or cohesion of being. Cohesion, which means like there's no fusion. There's no fusing together within. There's a void in their experience. There's something that goes missing in action. It was when, someone is trying to interject, and it can be sourced from a insult, derogatory, belittling behavior, where you've been nitpicked at for some reason on just how you are, meaning that person should basically accept you just as you've accepted them, and they trespass against and they sort of go into and try to get under your skin as a way of dealing with which is an aggression, which is an aggressive style of relating to people. Aggression, it's sort of an acting out or wanting to take down another. It's like wanting to combat and champion, or what was the old term when someone wanted to conquer. It's like there's a need to conquer. And if you're living with someone who's trying to conquer you all the time, this is crazy making. As if you have something that needs to be conquered within you. They want to overcome and take control, almost by use of military force. That's like the conquer. It's like they have a conquering attitude. So in business, these people might look like emblazoned -- real estate people who watch those shows, Hot in Beverly Hills or whatever, or to conquer, to climb a mountain successfully. So that's a more positive conquering. But back in the day, oh yeah, did you conquer her? Yeah, I took her, da da da. So it can be like a sort of a way of crazy making. And showing that you have taken over somebody, and then have this sort of erratic behavior, impulsive behavior style, because they're trying to overcome. They're trying to overcome people. They try to and so that's the crazy making. There's a lot of impact that comes as a result of the crazy making behavior. And let's get a little bit more in depth on the type of behavior. Crazy making behavior is behavior that's made to sound very logical. Like, this sounds right, this is logical, because you didn't put the pan the right way in the sink. This is now going to have to soak. We don't have it now, so it's made to sound very logical and practical. It's made to sound that way, like this is what's right or practical, but which actually makes no sense and serves to get options that only punish the abused. Okay, where they will create or confligate. Oh, I gotta look this up. Confligate. This is because this is related. Confligate. Nope. Conflate. Conflate, combine two or more into one. So they'll try to combine this sort of crazy making behavior that's like punishing you. And it's very logical. There's a very good reason why you should be this way, and that you should be punished, that you left this in the sink and then the spaghetti got too hard and now look, this pan is ruined, or we don't have it now, and you get the anger face, or and it sounds very logical, and it's meant to punish, but which isn't really truth, meaning you don't know how to do anything, just let me have at it, just and crazy making, so they'll use it to get out of things. So you might see this in the workplace, where pathological lying, not addressing answers or half answers. Do we have this? Yes, I couldn't find this, and then they just don't answer. Crazy making behavior. It's there. You should just find it, and they leave you dangling. Half-answered behaviors. Sounding logical, but it doesn't make sense. So not really addressing the issue, not coming forthright. Yeah, we're dating, and what that means to them isn't really what it really truly means. So it's going to sound logical, but it really doesn't make sense. It just means they're using you to nurse a wounded knee, a wounded head, a wounded ego, and using you as bounce back, or continuing to create this type of behavior where they then punish you, and that's part of the outcome, where you're sort of being punished, and the options are belittling to you. It's not your own arrived at or self-dictated outcome. It's made to get you off course. This is very difficult manipulative behavior to get out of, because it's so rampant in so many families, in so many companies, so many schools, where unless you take time to get it addressed and work it through and realize what crazy making is, and that you don't need or want to be attracted, denying what you've said or done, turning accusations into further proof of your craziness or unreliable memory. Don't you remember? Don't you remember? And it's like you do remember, but they're assigning lack of memory to you. You're stupid. You don't have so you don't even have a chance to breathe, think, do, or actualize. There's a denying, there's a denial of what they've done. I did not punish you. I did not, leave you at the party. I did not just, I did not neglect you. I did not be mean to you. I did not be aggressive. They're denying what they've said or done, and they want to make that, just because they pronounce it, it's to be true or believed. And we see that a lot in politics. It's like crazy making behavior. Turning accusations into further proof. Their accusations, they're false accusations. Okay, this is where they get off. This is how they stir the pot. It's false, okay? But, oh, look at all that activity. when they stir it up, turning accusations into further proof of your craziness or unreliable memory. See, and so they're making false accusations as if that is you. You are dumb. You are no memory. You are no love. You are, so they just try to bottom you out like there's no elevator, ground floor. Uh, Blatant lying, even when you have evidence against them. Refuting reality, not owning up. Yeah, I really should have talked to you about that. I am sorry. You are not going to hear the words, I am sorry, and a come to kumbaya, come to Jesus from a crazy making behavior. That is not a feeling that you will enter to. You will maybe not feel that there's a religious connection. There's almost an impious way about them, that they're sort of not, they don't have a sense of God in the world. Not like godliness, that they're next to godliness, their ego, but there is a sense of God in the world. Blatant lying, even when you have evidence against them, meaning like, and you can't then believe your own eyes. That becomes problematic when then it becomes very difficult to sort it out and like get out those threads of self-denial and like being like, yeah, I didn't realize that then, like, and having compassion, because it's literally like feeling the blind to see again. It really is a difficult thing to emerge from. It takes a lot of patience, understanding, and sort of wanting to feel better, wanting to feel a certain warmth again, and like coming out from Pluto and coming back, to some other temperate morning glory pool or something where there's more fascination in life that can draw you forward. It's like not only the narcissist or the psychopath who's drawing you forward, because there's like a God that's drawing you forward. I'm not trying to come off as religious, but there's something more maybe moral, I guess, or less crazy making, that's like trying to say crazy making, that's not marriage material. Crazy making, that's not teaching material. Crazy making, that's not good nurturing style, and being able to arrive at and understand things unique and in and of yourself, and being allowed that experience to ask the questions, like, in other words, sometimes you feel this impiousness around a crazy maker, blatant lying, conflating or confusing the truth, confusing it with something else. Why are you dragging this into this? Telling you what they want, but then when you do it, denying that they wanted you to. Having you fall in love, and then boom, they've got a whole nother marriage. What? Telling you what they want. They are big on telling you what they want. Scratch my back. This is our relationship. It's not really about that. We can't really have this foundation. It's an abusive manipulation. It's very difficult to recognize once you're in it. It's like you don't realize, you think that it becomes a new normal, crazy making behavior. And it's really to the point where you doubt yourself. And it's really where you cannot trust, you cannot decide, you cannot move forward, self-doubt. That is the effect of crazy making behavior. So if you wonder, how did you learn all this pain? Where's all this pain coming from? It is, you have learned so much self-doubt and reinforced it, and had so much lack of self-belief because of the crazy making. You can't do, walk, decide, just whatever comes after, you can't. Basically, the abyss and the sky is the limit. And that and so it is a power play for a crazy maker. So if they can get that, that gives them their jump up, and it gives you your jump down. So, and it causes you to feel disconnected and then claw and scramble for some sense of reality. That is not pleasant, to feel disconnected from reality. And what is reality? Like being able to support yourself, be loved, feel understood, not harbor confusion and self-doubt. What does it feel like to harbor self-doubt? It's like bringing in a big, tarry towboat that is just anchored down in some sludge or muck, or it's just meant to sort of hold you in place, hold you in a certain location, hold you in a certain destination that you are entrailed, is the word that I am feeling. And I just have to search this world, because it is what a person or animal's intestines or internal organs, especially when removed or exposed, the innermost parts of something. So it is the entrails. This is a word. The innermost. Okay, the innermost. Okay, there is no inner beyond the innermost. So the innermost part of something, digging copper out of the entrails of the earth is an example. So the core of the earth they found is copper and nickel. So it's a hot thing. Entrails. So, and it comes from the Middle English, from the Old French. Entralis, from medieval Latin intralia, alteration of Latin intranera, the internal of things based on intra or among. Intra or among. So meaning intra or among. So the entrails of your being, they want to sort of sound strange, but take control of that. They want to have control of those entrails. And it's sort of like, once you locate, it's like, what are we doing? The innermost part of your being, where your entrails are, the digestion problems, okay? Diverticulitis, entrails of your being, the bowels of the museum, the deep innards. Like, that's your organs have kind of like an energy and a personality. They are within you. It's not like it's the body, mind, and spirit. There's sort of this so you have to acknowledge and validate that you have entrails of your being, that you, the innermost of your being. So it's like a reclaiming and recovery from that crazy making. The crazy making will get into those entrails and make that self-doubt live, and then have it live within you like a terrarium. Like, you're good to go. You got enough self-doubt to keep you poisoned for the rest of your tomorrows. It's like it's sort of like the self-doubt droplet is like when you're in a relationship with someone who makes you feel off balance and disconnected from reality. Oh boy, that sounds great if you're kind of bored, or your reality isn't bringing you what you need, and here comes this crazy making. It could be a good alternative, to whatever. Think about that. When you're in a relationship, meaning you're actively relating, it's not like it has come upon you. There's an active part of you that, in the privacy of this video, which I hope to ignite and spark up so you can see. It's when you're in a relationship with someone who makes you feel, to put you off balance and disconnected from reality, as well as from the people you count on for support. Okay, and it's gotten so bad you hear yourself justifying the behavior and questioning your own perception. Is an example of crazy making. So sometimes you can get snagged into that, and then keep that going is what you would call like a familiar way of relating or having your reality. And then and then if it then leads to that, because then that's like when you're walking on eggshells, these other sort of styles and conflicts in life, making you doubt yourself. We weren't really in love. This wasn't a real feeling. This was never the promise. This was never the intention. I didn't really disrupt this. I didn't take you out of focus. I didn't take too much of your time. I'm not possessive. I'm not controlling. This is to them there's this logical okayness, and it's just everyone else can't see it or is told that they are imagining things. And basically, that fault, there's always a fault, and so that fault is like a ravine. It's like the innermost part of your ravine. Your life can become like a ravine, like a deep valley moment. Oh man, peace and harmony. I drove right into the valley again. How did you get yourself wenched there? Dang, and you kind of knew better, but then you begin to recognize and don't doubt yourself. You're like, okay, I'm going to heed myself here rather than heeding something that's outside. And that chaos, when you're far enough away and you're uncluttered in your feeling, when you're completely calm, you can see the crazy making behavior very clearly. You can only get that clarity and perception once you have trained and been beyond in a very steadfast upwards manner that requires an ultimate surrender, I guess, to a timeliness of healing is what you can give it, and just say, I wish the strength of a timely healing, a timeliness of healing, which means I have I just am in touch with healing. And so once you kind of get to that space, which is beyond the projection, so you can only get there with time, calm, and space, and knowing. And so that's why we talk about no contact, especially from crazy making. You have to go no contact for some time, and I'm talking about this very seriously. If you're married, in a family, engaged, fiance, raising kids, raising a family, in a family, parented by, neighbored by, labored by, basically, as it's basically you're put into a labor when you're in a crazy making. Basically, you're put to work right away, okay? Because it's a projection of their internal chaos onto others. And people who don't know, they're like an open sponge that they don't know any better, like a child or someone who isn't aware of this sort of crazy making. Then they'll begin to fall prey to these sort of assigned lies, that projection of you don't know better, you're ineffective, you don't know how, you can't do this, and whatever it is, it can be a job, a life skill, such as brushing your teeth, anything like that, the basics, the essentials. So it's just their chaos. And remember, someone who's narcissist, they have an insatiable need for power and control. That might not be you. You might, so you don't want to adopt this type of negative conflict behavior, but you might feel it reverberating for some time. And it's very dismissive, which means it goes unresolved. It means they assign you guilt, assign you blame, and don't ever get you a chance to say, I righted my wrong, how about we do it again? According to them. But you don't, the problem with crazy making is there is no justice in that system. There is no check and balance. There is no accountability. There is no true back and forth. You didn't make your bed. You're a bad husband. And then I made my bed and you're okay now. So there is no sort of resolution. It's a constant sort of keeping them into an altered state, but they will own it as their own until they get away, until you can see that and deflect that, because the problem is that a lot of people then have owned the self-doubt for their entire life, into many decades until they go, I'm seeing, I'm learning, I'm feeling, I'm seeing, and here hopefully you're feeling and experiencing the difference. In projection, crazy making, the emotional and the emotional environment around them is tense. Okay, how about all the time? How does that sound? Not rational and easygoing. So it is not good to be tense all the time. Hollywood might always have a sign, but you don't always have to be living in the empty, vacuous, tense, false lifestyle, okay? Okay, and they'll oftentimes incite into the negative, like helpless emotions, anger, defenselessness, guilt, shame, embarrassment. So they'll try to incite and sort of keep you waiting in that without them reclaiming any ability to reconcile or rectify. So you come, like in certain religions, you come to reconciliation. I want to reconcile something. You really do need to then come to a reconciliation within and say, I cannot live in self-doubt. You can say that before even knowing what it means. Meaning, if you want to emerge and heal from the crazy making, you must reconcile and come to a reconciliation where you say, I no longer want to live in this. I just, once you're really 100% and you're not making it up, like you're really, you're trying to pick your head up out from under the spigot and you want to breathe again. You do not want to have your head hung over. You do not want to feel angry, unhappy, pushed around, negative, told to shut up, living or in a job that causes a lot of this. I mean, there's a lot of jobs too, families. I mean, it can span every part of where you might find yourself. And being underemployed, living under your potential. If you haven't reconciled, meaning come to a fullness of resolution, and if you can't incorporate that other person in part of it, you must come to an admittance, which is not guilt, but it's just saying, I'm assigning a responsibility, okay, to be reconciled from this. I'm absolving myself. So it's having kind of like what you would call a letting go, which means from a certain part of your body, you're learning where you need to let go. And if you're constantly hanging on, then you can see these symptoms arise during your day to day. You're constantly holding on to an anxiety, a lifestyle that no longer suits you, a feeling, a disruption. And until you come to that reconcile, I mean, I just want to it's like reconciling a bank account. Because of all this, this mess. It's like when you reconcile something, it's like after there's been a mess, an aftermath. Like you want to reconcile. You truly have to, it's a different state. To restore friendly relations, to cause to coexist in harmony, make or show to be compatible. Most often, this is within the self. To make one account consistent with another, especially by allowing for transcriptions begun but not yet completed. To make one account consistent with another, especially by allowing for transactions begun but not yet completed. So for everything that has not yet been resolved, I allow for all that to be resolved. It's sort of it's an interesting state that you can learn about. I'm just reconciled. Absolve me from this. Restore relations, to cause to coexist. And this oftentimes is within yourself. Man versus man, man versus self, man versus machine, man versus society, man versus woman. Okay? So you have to look at what are these very exquisite states to settle up, okay? And, okay, to settle, stop making sense. The talking heads, okay? To make someone accept, it comes from the Latin which means back, the Latin conciliare, to bring together. To reconcilier, in the Old French reconcilier, to the late Middle English reconcile that we use today. Back together. Back to bring together. So that's requiring an intensive force. Expressing bringing force. So meaning that there's a force that's trying to bring something back together that belongs. That does not mean that you belong or it's okay that crazy making is, because you know in your heart of hearts, once you get into that stage and you say that you no longer want to exist in that crazy making behavior, and it's really sort of disrupting you or corroding you from the inside. It's not where you should be. You don't want to be together. That is okay. You do not want to be punished. You do not, you want to adjust and find a better reconciliation. So there's a lot of this used in other religious texts, but there's an element sort of like, of salvation. Like, so there's a larger force. There's an isness that may be what it is. And you sort of get a better atonement, and learning what these states mean. Atoning, you might be for your sins or where you were off for your wrongs. You have to say, okay, there was a wrong or an injury, and to what degree are you still into that injurious, self-injurious behavior or attitude? And we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes. and so when you, it's kind of like when you look at it and you give yourself the confidence to look at it. So when you exit out of the self-doubt, you know, the self-doubt is kind of like where, unfortunately, certain manipulators want to keep you. And unfortunately, that's not where you can keep yourself. You must know this. And you must be able to use grace in your in your embracing of your truth, and realizing that that is what is meant to come. But oftentimes it's what is meant to, they're trying to protect you from, for fear of their own hurt, their own wound, their own abandonment, or their own shortcoming. So you can't atone for another's sins. You can't ride another bicycle, like to show other people what it is to ride a bike. I mean, you have to allow the experience and know that it's okay, and you're doing the right thing, and you're doing the right thing by you as well. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.